Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. Let me make sure that you can see me, you can hear me. Doing that really quickly. Hopefully, the internet doesn't embarrass me today. We'll see. And if you see any movement in the background, don't worry about it. I'm at a co working space, and so um, this is what happens. Let me make this public so that everyone can watch. Feel free to like, share, comment this broadcast out, you know, just for the people who need to hear it. So I'm going to quickly do the same thing in my phone and then we'll get started. Let's see if I can make it. Okay. Yes, so last week the live was going in and out, but I did watch parts of the replay and they did work. So it did work. There was no buffering. It went straight through. So if you had an issue last week with watching live, go ahead and you can watch from the beginning and there's no buffering. So it's good to go. I decided that I would have done another live stream last Tuesday to replace that one, but then I realized that it was fine, so I didn't go live anymore. Okay, so we're gonna get started. Okay, so this is probably one of the first times where I can say that I don't have any notes for you tonight. A quick conversation, right? And this is based on what I have been realizing, discovering. It's been reiterated to me during my Ask Me Anything sessions. So I do have that available. You can go ahead and click the link to book your sessions. Right now they are free, they are complimentary. They are, I believe, 20 minutes sessions, 25. It wouldn't be longer than 25. And you can literally ask me anything about business ideation, about pricing, right? And it's not going to remain free for much longer, but I wanted to help as many persons as possible. Okay, so I'm going to start off by saying my name is Shana Edgecombe. I go by Shana E. I am a pricing and positioning strategist with TREP Consulting. I am the lead consultant with TREP Consulting. TREP Consulting is tough love that you and your business need to get better. So I talk about positioning, I talk about pricing, and I talk about mindset, because mindset undergirds everything that you do, right? If you don't believe that you can do something, if you don't believe that your products and services are valuable, then you will have a hard time positioning yourself in the market. You will have a hard time talking about what it is that you do. You will have a hard time asking for money. You will even have a hard time pricing yourself, because you will feel unworthy to sell what you sell and at the price that you need to sell it at. Okay? So it is extremely important that you build up the confidence to show up in your business and to price the way that you need to price. That's number one. So for those of you who do not know me, I am an entrepreneur for myself. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I am a consultant. I have worked with some amazing companies as an employee, and then towards the tail end as a consultant. I've been a consultant since 2017, doing client work or acting as a consultant who was an employee in the company, right? So my employers have included the Nassau Airport Development Company, the Inter-American Development Bank, the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation. I've also acted as a consultant / employee for the Access Accelerator Small Business Development Center, okay? I have had the privilege of being a facilitator or mentor / coach for programs such as the Canoe Innovation Hub, for the or Academy of Women Entrepreneurs, for the U.S. Embassy, for the Royal Caribbean Kickstarter program. I have spoken in various capacities, like for the getting kids ready for the Ideathon for the IDB, where they took them to MIT and they did really well. I taught them about how to pitch for their business. I'm also a pitch coach with Arrowlink Ventures and Shift the Culture, powered by Arrowlink. Okay, so I do a whole lot of things. I have a whole lot of background in certain things, and I love entrepreneurship. I love working with micro, small, and medium enterprises. I love working with people like you, because I know what it's like to not have direction. I know what it's like, even me having a bachelor's degree in business, where I was not sure about what to do, even though I had a business background. At times, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. At times, it still feels like that, right? But and I don't know if that ever goes away. I don't know if that ever goes away because I have a mentor who has been in the game since he was about 18, 19, and he's now elderly, and there's still a level of like uncertainty in the back of his mind, right? Even when it comes down to money. And this is a man who made his first million before he was 20. So that should go to tell you that don't think that there's a moment where you feel like you should have arrived, because even the people who have been in the game for decades sometimes have moments of uncertainty. So like I said before, when I opened up, I don't necessarily have like a whole bunch of notes or a training to go through with you tonight. But what I do want to do is have a conversation. And so one of the biggest things that I have seen in the Ask Me Anything sessions is literally the question of, where do I start? I do not know what to do. Where do I start? And so in that instance, you need to think through what it is that you want to do, what it is that you want to sell. Is it a product? Is it a service? Is it both? Now you might say, well, what is an example of both? Because it's easy to think about a product or a service, right? So an example of a business that does a product and a service is, I don't know why I can't remember the name, but the business randomly came to me and she watches sometimes. So this particular business actually rents out baby equipment to tourists predominantly who are traveling here, and they don't want to have to bring the car seat, the crib, all these different things, right? Because those are bulky items. It can make it a little bit harder to travel when you have to bring the stroller, the car seat, the crib, the this, the that, right? And so she actually rents out those things. So in some ways, that is a product slash service, right? Depending on who you ask. Now, a strict service might be someone who is a graphic designer who does no printing, or a website designer, a web developer, right? An example of a product would be someone who sells hair oils, or someone who is a print shop, right? An example of someone who provides a product and a service would be a photographer, because they may actually have prints that they also offer their clients along with the service of taking the photographs, okay? So I'm giving you context for realizing and really sitting down and thinking through what it is that you sell. What do you intend to sell? It's extremely important that you sit down and you brainstorm. You explore and brainstorm exactly what it is that you want to do. And then you even write down why you want to do it. Is it because you love what you do? Is it because you see an opportunity in the market that you think you can serve? Is it because it's something that you're good at, that people tell you that you should do? What is your motivator? Is it just you in it for the money and you think that you can make a lot of money? You have to be real with yourself, right? And I can tell you now that if you are entering a business just off of passion, and I love this and I love what I do, you have to be careful. On the same spectrum, you have to be careful if you're strictly in it for the money, because you may look at it as less service because your end goal is money. Whereas if you start, the other spectrum of it is if you love it, then you may not charge properly. You may not charge enough. You may over deliver and do too much, and you may find yourself becoming burnt out, especially because, let's be honest, there are so many people in the world who don't give a care that you're doing more than you're paid to do, that you're delivering more than they paid you to do. There are people who will keep pushing the envelope, and if you have a problem with saying no as a people pleaser, and I've spoken about that before, you are going to have an issue with not burning out. One of the best pieces of advice anyone ever gave me is, and this pertains to entrepreneurship, is if you are going to get in business to help people, you're going to get your heart broken. And I found that to be true. Why? Because y'all, I talk about pricing a lot, as you know. Because if I used to have this problem. So one, I didn't have the confidence to charge properly, right? And so I would lowball myself. Two, on top of that, I would feel like I had to over deliver, right? So I already didn't charge enough. And now I'm giving deliverables that they didn't ask for, that I didn't charge them for. And then once I deliver those things, then I had clients who would critique the things that I didn't charge them for, that I decided of my own volition to add in and throw in for their benefit. Then all of a sudden it's, well, you think you could tweak this document, you think you could tweak that design, you think you could do this or that. I don't really like that. And I really wanted to say, but this is free. Was delivering more than was required of me and not paying, and dealing with people who I felt in a way should have just said thank you instead of, you know what, could you tweak it? Could you tweak that? You won't pay me for that. And so I had to learn how to pull back, right? And for those of you who have an issue with over delivering, or you just know that you are going to over deliver, you have to build that into your price. But anyway, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole tonight, right? I already said you need to really sit down and brainstorm about what it is that you're selling. That is extremely important. Another thing as well is, who is your target audience? If you're not sure, then I have two pieces of advice for you. You can go either way on this, up to you. The beauty and the scary part about entrepreneurship, when you go from, you have a supervisor, you have a manager, you have a boss, quote unquote, you have people to answer to, you have people to correct you if you do something incorrectly, and then all of a sudden you have this freedom, but now you also don't have any guardrails. You don't have anyone saying, hey, don't do this, do that, unless you have a strong mentor, which a lot of us don't have, right? And so what happens is, now, instead of having a boss who is going to keep you laser focused on this, now all of a sudden you have like this whole open playing field, and you have to decide now which direction you're going to go in. And it's scary. I know that from experience, and I know a lot of you say that it is scary, but the reality is you have to start somewhere. You have to make a decision. And so when it comes to deciding who you're going to sell to, you have two options, or your target audience, right? One, I see people doing this often, which I'm not sure I agree with, but I get it. Sometimes I see Facebook ads and I wonder why I'm seeing the ad. Or out of curiosity, I check and see, why am I seeing this ad? And then I see that sometimes people just put in their target demographic is located in the Bahamas, and they want people between the ages of 18 to 65 to see their ad. Now, to me, in my opinion, depending on the ad, that can be a waste of money. Because you, in my opinion, should start off with a hypothesis. Meaning, okay, in theory, I think that based on the products and services that I am selling, maybe I should target this set of people and see how they respond to my ad. Or even before you get to spending any ad money, you have conversation with people offline to see who responds to your product or service. Who says, I would love that? Who says, I'm indifferent? Who says, I might be interested if you tweak it a bit? Or who says, I don't even know, this doesn't make sense, I don't get it, right? I think it's important to do market research. And that's number 3. But to finish my point with target audience, you can either target everyone just about, which again, like I said, I don't necessarily agree with. And one of the easiest ways to blow your pitch, if you're pitching to investors, if you're pitching for a loan, if you're pitching for grant money, is to say that you're targeting everyone. Because people are not going to take you seriously. I cringe every time I hear people say that. I told y'all I'm a pitch coach. I cringe every time I hear people say that, because that's the equivalent of saying that you expect the whole world to be your audience. You expect everyone to pay you, and that's not realistic. Now, you might think, well, Amazon targets everyone in a way, right? But even Amazon understands that they have to break down the millions of things that they sell into categories, because there are some people who only go on Amazon for electronics, others only go on there for fragrances, others only go on there for clothing, others only use it for Prime to watch videos. They know that. And so how do we know that? Is because of the way that the website is organized, right? So that the people know what they came on for, and then they can easily click straight to that. You don't have to sit, if you went there for video, you don't have to sit clicking through clothing and jewelry and accessories and shoes trying to find the videos. Okay? So be aware of that as well. The next thing that I want to say when it comes to target audience is you can start wide or you can start narrow. Okay? Starting narrow might look like, and let me use the business that I told you about before that rents the baby items. In theory, the target audience for that could be tourists. They could, if they're running ads, target people who are coming in from the East Coast. I believe that a good chunk of our tourists come from the East Coast, straight up and down, from New York down to Florida. They can target people who make a certain amount of money if they're running ads. So you know that, for example, if they are, and then you can say, well, I want them to be staying at a hotel or a resort or a boutique experience versus an Airbnb, right? Because you know that, for example, if they're staying at a Rosewood or an SLS, then they're spending more money. If they are staying at an island house, for example, then they're spending more money. I'm sorry for those of you who are not in the Bahamas and don't know what these brands are, but they are higher end brands, right? They are higher end hotels. So you already know, okay, I want the people who are staying for a minimum of this, and this is you creating a target audience, right? As an example, I'm running you through this. They stay for a minimum of X amount of days. They make a minimum of X amount of money. They are traveling with at least one child. They may be a family that intends to do some excursions or move about the property and get off the property. Hence, they need the car seat because they're going to take a taxi or they're going to take a van or some type of bus to get here and there. And so you can create a pretty solid target audience. And then, as you sell, you update that information. Is that assumption, are those set of assumptions that you made, are they correct? As you get people to book, are you asking for certain information? Because, for example, the rental, the baby rental, obviously you have to deliver those things. So you get to know, okay, what area are they staying in? Which hotel are they staying in? So then you are already automatically finding out target demographic information. You get to say, okay, how many days do you need this equipment for? How many days is your total stay? Because maybe they don't need the equipment for the whole time of their stay. Maybe they need it for 1 or 2 days. Maybe you might ask, do you are you planning on using a nanny? Because there are some hotels that have nanny services available, right? Or a referral to a nanny service. I believe Ocean Club has something like that, and a few of the other hotels, okay? So that will allow you to say, oh, okay, they have the money to pay a nanny too. Okay. And you can get other detailed information. So you are now creating this database of your target audience. And then you get to say, oh, well, most of my guests are staying in the Western hotels. They're not really staying over Paradise Island, or they're not really staying in the Airbnbs. So you can create this overall profile, right? And that helps you do so much. It helps you when it comes to how to market, what to say in your marketing, how to set your prices, how they'll find you, how to deal with them, how to deliver the products and services to them. It will determine so much. One of the biggest things I want you to take away tonight is you have to do your research. You absolutely have to. You have to do your research. And then you need to sit down and look at your pricing. What is it going to take to start this business? What is it going to take to run this business? I would encourage anyone, if you have not started yet or you are in the beginning stages, create a 12-month startup budget for your business. Now, I don't care if someone is allowing you to borrow something. I don't care if someone's not charging you for something. Like, for example, you might be a printer, right? No, let me take that back. You might be a photographer, and someone says, you know what? In order for you to do your mini sessions and your portraits and all of that, I will give you 6 months free use of my studio. That's great. Tell them thank you. But you still need to put the cost of that studio fee in your 12-month budget as if you were paying for it. And that is a big mistake that I see people do. They don't include these things that they even get for free, because guess what? It's not always going to be free. So all of a sudden, you may find that, okay, you were not putting in that 6 months free. Now you have to pay monthly or however many times that you use the studio as a rental, and you realize that your rates are not sustainable. You've not been charging enough. So now you have to make a big price jump to your clients who might be like, what the hell? When in actuality, if you had just built that into the price from the beginning, they wouldn't get the shock of their life that all of a sudden you have to jump $200-300 per session, or however much you charge. Okay, so be mindful of that as well. Now, if no one else told you this, as a business owner, you are going to have to be a consumer of a lot of information. YouTube is going to have to be your friend. You're going to have to pay for coaching and other sessions at some point. You're going to have to consume books and materials. Some of you, depending on what it is, you're going to have to take courses and certifications. You're going to have to spend money to make money. You're going to have to use your time and spend time learning things if you want to make money. I was going to say if you can't afford to pay someone else, but it doesn't matter. You should not know how to do all parts of your business, even if it's from a high level. That is the perfect recipe if you allow yourself to remain ignorant on a topic or a subject matter. It is a great recipe for disaster, because your accountant could steal from you and you would never know. Your marketing person that you're outsourcing to could be doing a horrible job and you would never know. Your whoever could be doing things incorrectly and you would never know because you did not take the time to have a baseline of knowledge to make sure that they're doing their job. You could have a lawyer and you could rely on them to read through your contracts and they could tell you everything is great, sign it, and then the reality is that they hurt you. Speaking of lawyers, y'all don't ever sign contracts without reading them, and don't ever sign contracts without, if you don't understand something, find a lawyer and ask a question. If you can't find a lawyer to ask a question, Google it. There are too many stories of you getting screwed off of bad contracts because you were excited and you signed a document and did not read it. Because you were excited and you thought, oh my gosh, I have to take advantage of this right now. They may change their mind, so I have to sign this and return this to them. No, 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 no. Do not allow anyone to pressure you into a contract. You tell them you need time for your lawyer to look over it. You might be lying through your teeth. You may not have a lawyer. But there will be at least a little bit more respect on their end for if you say, my lawyer has to look over it. You might be your lawyer. No one knows that. Y'all, I want y'all I want to let y'all in on a little secret, right? Couple secrets. One is that a lot of people who look like they know what they're doing don't know what they're doing. Second of all, there are people who are saying, we, us, they, my people, my lawyer, my this, and it's them. You would never know. And sometimes you have to do the same thing. There are some people who, and I don't disagree with this at all. I encourage people to do it. There are some people who, they may have like a assistant, an EA, a VA, whatever. It's them, but they're signing under another name, or they are acting as if you're talking to a whole other person besides you. Are they wrong? No. I completely understand it, because there are some people who, if they know that they're doing business with you directly, there's going to be a lack of respect. Whereas if they know that there's a team and there's more of a procedural process that they have to follow, you will get more respect, I promise you. Nobody walks into Kelly's house and home and asks to speak to Mr. and Mrs. Kelly directly. It ain't gonna happen, right? So set yourself up that way to how, if you need to, especially if you are a people pleaser, if you need to have that level of distance, right? Speaking of which, as you research, use ChatGPT, please. Use other AI models. You don't have to use ChatGPT. There are so many others now. Use them to create your documents. Use them to brainstorm. Use them to create templates. You literally can ask them, hey, I want to start this business. What steps do I need? Now, I know you might be sitting there saying, well, Shana, you're stupid, because why are you telling people to do that and then you want people to also come to you for help? Number one, I'm not a gatekeeper. Number two, there's only a certain level of help that ChatGPT and the others can do, because the reality is that they may not understand and don't understand the nuances of the Caribbean audience, the Bahamian audience, right? So they can spit out a marketing plan. Cool. But y'all, we fickle and we funny. Can I be open and say that? We are fickle and we're funny. And some of the things that a marketing plan would say should work on us and for us do not work on us or for us. Okay? So there's still a level of needing an experienced, actual human professional. Okay? But at least they will give you a baseline, a foundation of where to start and how you need to proceed. Okay? So I wish I could give you a summary, but I don't remember what I said. Because like I said, I didn't write notes. Now I will try to summarize it. It is get clear about what you sell, your products, your services, or a mix of both. Your target audience, set that. Test out who responds and who doesn't. Research, 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 research. You need to be fluent in certain areas of your business, not all, but you need to have at least a foundational knowledge of everything in your business. I don't care if you don't know accounting. I don't care if you don't understand finances. I don't care if you don't understand how to do your business license or whatever it is. You need at least a high level understanding of what happens, because that's how some of you end up being taken advantage of. Okay? Um, do not sign contracts that you do not understand. Make agreements that or allow yourself to be guided into agreements that you do not understand or that you have questions about. That is extremely important. Okay? So, speaking of my Ask Me Anything sessions, you can feel free. I have them available for just a few more sessions available that are free, that are complimentary to you. You can click the link in the description box to book your own session. Times and spaces are limited, okay? It is a 20 or 25-minute session. It is free, it is complimentary. If you want to share it out with someone who you know needs to talk through their business idea, or they've already started and they're still like at an impasse or they're not sure where to go next, definitely let them click the link. If you know me personally, you can WhatsApp me, you can Facebook message me. I'm still going to send you the link directly because I have a process and that's part of my process, right? Don't try to pick my brain suddenly in my inbox. Go through the process with the link, okay? So I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time. Peace.